Hey there, my name is Kevin Field and I play in a band called The Slow. I wanted to share a little bit about the lyricism for our recent song and answer a couple questions. Slow Kids is a song that we just released. I probably started writing it almost 3 years ago now. In that time, I was really searching for a sense of identity. In the West, we're individualistic, right? We're trying to define ourselves as somehow separated from this grander world. That's not a bad thing, but ultimately it can reduce us into kind of narrow categories when in reality just being a human being is this mysterious experience. I was wrestling with what is my identity. My culture's asking me to identify with something, and we actually played a show with a guy named Brian John Appleby, who's an amazing musician. And after the show, I went up to him and I said, "Hey man, like thank you so much for paying attention when we were playing, and we really love your work." And he said, "Oh yeah, totally get the hippie Christian mystic vibe." And I was just like, what an interesting phrase, hippie Christian mystic. It really kind of was one of the first times I kind of reflected on the culture of the band um, and what people would probably perceive us as. And as I wrestled with that, part of me liked that I like identifying as a Christian mystic, and I like hippies in general, or my conception of what that means. But that's not even who we are. So who am I? Who are we? And I think the Slow Kid was kind of a little bit of a rebellious statement in the sense that I don't even know who I am. And I guess I'm the last one to the party because I can't quite seem to articulate who I am. And everyone else in our culture who I see seems to be so aware of who they are and their mission and their values. And I feel like I'm constantly wrestling with those things. One of the things I've been thinking about more recently is where meditation and music kind of collide. I looked around at our culture and was like, wow, we are meditating a lot more than we realize, just not consciously. We're listening to the pop song and it's legitimately like affecting our nervous system. We're in the rhythm of these songs, and then there seems to be some cognitive dissonance because we're never really talking about the music that we're singing along to. And this song was one of the first experiments I had with using music as kind of a tool for a mantra. What the recording process ended up being was us standing in this room, actually right here, and shouting love at the top of our lungs over and over and over again. I don't know if anything will ever beat just singing at the top of our lungs a cappella in a room, together. It took like 8 months, a year almost, for us to find time for us to get together. The first album we did in basically a week, and this album we did in like 6 months. And so, I live here. This is where the studio was, and I was just sitting and listening to these songs and playing along with them, or singing the lyrics just for oh man, it was months. And it got to the point where I didn't even know if I liked the music anymore. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't even I couldn't even make sense of it. I was so immersed and so inside of the music, that there was no angle to reference it. So the process was really like an inner journey. It felt like I was just praying. Really what the Slow is a huge group of people, all the streams, people I read, authors I read, poets we read, all the music I listen to. It's just countless, the number of artists that inspire us as a group. And so all of that inspiration is what comes together. I'll leave you with one final reference to the lyricism of Slow Kids. In the second verse, I sing, "We've all got front row tickets to the universe." That line has kind of challenged me. It just provokes me to really think about my position in the world, and just realizing that we have this direct access to being alive, and the divinity that's, and the mystery that's kind of embedded in that, just the raw experience of being alive. And music obviously is such a core and fundamental, I guess, quality of existence that we get to participate in. For me, it's just absolutely essential that music doesn't become this thing that I separate from my own experience in life, but that music and life kind of, and good relationships with each other kind of come together. And that's the only place that anything valuable can really happen. And so I hope that, the meaning of the slow is that we all seek to remain grounded in love and truth and goodness and beauty, and continually look beyond ourselves and find the goodness and celebrate the goodness. I'm so excited to be releasing these songs, and I really hope you enjoyed Slow Kids. There is a lot more coming from this album. It honestly just blows me away when I think about the density of intention that was placed into every song, instrumentally and lyrically. This was a little bit of an interview about our song Slow Kids. Once again, please go check that out if you haven't, and we'll be releasing more music in the near future, so keep an eye out. We're so excited for you to hear it. Much love, everybody.